It's almost time to refill this beer. It's good though. Hey, what's going on, guys? Just hanging out at my workshop here. I wanted to make you a video though. It's going to be a remake of a video I already made. Sealing and painting EVA foam. Now the reason I want to remake this video for you today though is because I just watched the old one and it really wasn't too good. I had a bad camera angle. All you could see was the workbench. I was really monotone. I was nervous. It was the first video I did. And I didn't talk about the beer I was drinking. So I'm going to try to fix all those problems today and make a better video. This is actually be a two-part video though. Today I'm going to talk about sealing and painting EVA foam because I'm working on this Optimus Prime helmet, which I'm at that stage of it right now. And the next video I'll do is talking about weathering and giving it that worn look. So stay tuned if you want to check that out. So let's get this video started off on the right foot though and talk about this beer. So today's beer is it's Brewdog Elvis Juice. It's a really good beer. It's a grapefruity type IPA. So if you like grapefruit and you like beer, that's probably a good one to go with. All right, let's talk about sealing and painting EVA foam. Now you might ask yourself, why do you have to seal the EVA foam before you can paint it? Well, the answer to that is because it's a whole lot like a sponge. It's got a really porous surface on it, and if you just throw the paint on there, it's going to soak right up, and it's never going to look like a finished product. You're going to keep throwing it on there, and it's not going to look good. So what you need to do is you need to seal it up before you do that. Now, there's a couple different ways you can seal up EVA foam. You can use like a Bondo or a fiberglass. The problem with that is there's going to be a whole lot of extra work because you're going to sand it all down once you applied it all. And then the other issue you run into with that is it's a really rigid type material. So when it dries and it flexes, it cracks and splinters, and then your project is ruined. So it might not be a way you want to go. It could look really good if it's something that's not going to move at all. But something to think about. It's a lot of work, and you run the risk of it cracking and breaking. You can also go with a PVA glue. I've used PVA glue. It works really well. It seals everything up really nice. The problem I found with it is that you have to apply it with a brush, and you get the brush stroke. So I try to avoid that as much as I can because I like the surface to be as smooth as possible. So it works good, but you do have to put it on with the brush and you get the brush strokes. So something to think about. So the way I found that I like to do is I like to heat seal it and then use Plasti Dip as my sealer. So when you heat seal, I like to turn my heat gun on high, and I'll hold it about probably 8 inches away. When I'm using it though, I want to make sure I'm always moving and not holding it on one spot too long. I want to caution you, if you do hold it on too long, there's a couple different things that can happen. For one, you could start to actually melt your EVA foam, and it's going to look horrible. It's going to be ruined. You'll have to start over. The other problem is if you use any kind of hot glue to hold a piece together, you can actually start heating that up and remelting that hot glue, and then that piece pops and falls apart, and then you've ruined that project. The other problem, if you hold this thing on too long and you use contact cement on your seams, as EVA foam heats up, it expands. So it expands those seams and they pop open. So then you have all kinds of open exposed seams all over the place, and that's something you definitely want to avoid. So keep that in mind when you're using a hot glue gun. So I got this piece here that I heat sealed already. You can kind of see this one here is a little bit shiny. It's a different color than this one. This one's not treated, this one is. This is what you're looking for when you heat seal it. Just a kind of smooth, shiny surface. And that's, you know, you're ready to go after you got that. Alright, so after you've heat sealed it, next thing you're going to move on to is your Plasti Dip. Plasti Dip is an absolutely amazing product. I love it. The only really downside to it is it is a little bit more expensive and the coverage isn't too far. So it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but it's definitely worth it. A couple things that you want to know about Plasti Dip is the can works better when it's warmer. So if you have it in a cold environment or a cold area, it's going to affect how it comes out of the can. So make sure that your can is warm before you apply it. You want to apply it probably about, I usually hold it about 8 inches away. Don't put it on too thick. If you put it on too thick, you're going to run the risk of basically getting runs or thick spots, and it's going to look bad. So hold it at the right angle, and not the right angle, but the right distance, and I think you'll be happy with that end result. Now, when you apply a Plasti Dip, sometimes you'll notice that it looks like kind of bubbly and dimpled. Just give it time and let it dry. Plasti Dip cans actually work better when they're brand new. I've noticed that the old cans don't always work the best. So keep that in mind as well. But Plasti Dip works great. It gives a really good surface for your paint to adhere to, and it's flexible. So your paint basically flexes and it doesn't crack if it flexes. It's great, and I think you guys will be really happy with that result. The one thing I do want to suggest though, you might want to pick one of these things up though before you start painting. When I was painting Ironhide, I didn't have one of these things, and I was out there just painting like this, and before I knew it, my hand was basically stuck like this. I couldn't I couldn't move it. I couldn't even open a beer. So pick one of these things up and you're going to be a lot more happy and in a lot less pain. You'll be able to actually move your hands like that. So grab one. It's only about $5 on Amazon. All right, so once you put your Plasti Dip on, you can move on to the next step. If you want to take it up a notch, and you can use like a sandable primer or a filler primer, which is great if you have imperfections in there that you want to cover up. The thing that's going to happen with that, though, is you got to sand it afterwards, right? And it's a lot of sanding, and it actually kind of clumps up on a sandpaper, so it turns into kind of a big project. Make sure you have plenty of sandpaper on hand if you're going to use a sandable primer. But the end result is a absolutely smooth, it looks like a car finish product. It's amazing. It's worth it. If you want to spend the extra money and time, use a sandable primer. You'll be really happy. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you want to move right on to your finishing paint, you can. Now, I don't use a lot of latex or acrylics paints. I don't think they look too good personally because I don't like the brush strokes on it. So I like to go with spray paint. It looks a lot more natural on these things because Transformers are cars, and usually those surfaces are smooth. They don't have brush strokes on them. So I like to go with spray paints. Now, you can get spray paints in a couple different finishes. You can get like a high gloss or a flat. Flat looks amazing if your surface that you're painting on is nice and smooth. If not, gloss is going to show all those imperfections in that paint. So that's something to keep in mind. If you have a lot of little imperfections you want to hide, flat paint is going to be the way to go. And that's actually the way I prefer. I think it looks a lot better, especially when you're going to do the weathering. You can hit the edges with like a silver Sharpie and give it a warm look, and it looks awesome. So keep that one in mind too. The paint that I like to use is Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch. It's a 2X double coverage. This one actually, it says right on here, also bonds to plastics. That's what drew me into this one initially. I figured if it bonded to plastic, it bonded to foam. And it does. It worked great. The finish is amazing, and I haven't had to repaint anything that I've painted this stuff with. It's great. So trust me, if you use this stuff, you're going to be really happy. And this one, just follow the instructions on the can as far as application with the temperature and the distance that you're holding it, and it's going to be amazing. So one other thing I want to talk about is safety, right? You wouldn't think you need to talk about safety with paint, but you do. Health risks is a real big deal with painting, right? So make sure you have a respirator. And I'm not talking about an N95 dust mask because those are for particulates. You want to use the real deal respirator. You don't want to sit there and breathe this stuff in because it's toxic, and over time, you do it enough, you're going to feel the effects of it when you're older. So cosplay doesn't last forever, so just keep in mind, keep yourself safe now. The other thing is, too, is make sure you wear safety glasses. I was out there one day painting with the Plasti Dip, and I didn't have safety glasses on. It was kind of windy, and I went to take my contacts out at the end of the day, and I had little splatters all over my face, or my eyes, my contacts, from the Plasti Dip. So keep that in mind. It does actually float around, and it will get in your eyes, and basically wherever it goes, it's going to get to you. So make sure you're not doing it next to your wife's car, your mom's car, or your husband's car. They might not be happy about that. So keep that in mind as well. But that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I do want to add one more tip, though. When you're Plasti Dipping, see this helmet here is gray. So when I do it, I'm going to do this in black, just so I can see the coverage on it. Because black on black or gray on gray, you just really can't see the coverage. So if you want to get the best visibility, see how much you have covered, go with the opposite color. So I'll be doing black on that. But that pretty much wraps up this video today. If you guys have any questions or you want to know any specifics, just leave a comment in the comment section. If you liked the video or it helped you out, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And you guys can always check out my current projects on Instagram at BMBids. Other than that, I'll catch you guys later. Cheers.